This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Yeah, just first day back, did y'all have to knock some rust off? How did things look?
I thought we started a little slow, inside run. I didn't get over two on two slot drill. I was there but I thought that was a little, I didn't feel like we was banging quite like we needed to there. But it picked up. We ended up having a light scrimmage at the end of practice on get the ball back 2 minute. And that was probably about 8 plays. And then had short yardage, third down, which we obviously need. That was a big point of emphasis from last year. And 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2. And had a lot of situations today. And I think certainly showed that we'd been gone for, 12 days since the last practice we had. But at the same time, I thought the kids pushed through it really well, and I thought we got better as the day went on.
Okay, I have a question about your defensive backs too. So Quincy's back out there. Looks like Bishop might be getting a lot closer. Yeah. How do you just maybe feel about seeing a little bit more depth trickle back in right now?
I like our depth at corner. I'm liking our corners, and to be perfectly honest with you, that was the number one concern really going into spring ball in the secondary. Now we've got to get, when we get some guys that are out, obviously Al's out, and once we get him back, I think we can start moving a little bit. Some of our corners moving to safety, and we feel like Al's probably a nickel, which will help us there with J. Lou. But I think we have the pieces back there that we can move some guys around and have 5 really good players in the back end.
Okay, and then how's Chavis coming along? And then looks like Clark might have been at nickel today. So can you maybe talk about?
Yeah, I like what Malik's been. I really like how he's played. He's really taken to the new coaches, and he's playing with a lot more confidence, running the alley really well right now. And I've been really happy with him. Jaden Johnson, I've been happy with him as well. And of course, Clark, he can play a little bit of, all over the place. We played him mostly at strong safety, but certainly he can play that nickel as well.
Thanks. I might circle at the end.
Sir.
Coach, on the offensive line outside of Latham and Limmer, who's catching your eye there? I know it's right. I saw Braun and Amari and Emmanuel working kind of with some of the ones today a little bit.
Yeah, Otis, we're moving that quite a little bit, as you well know, with Tyke East and Chambly and Kudus. We've worked Kudus with the ones quite a little bit. Those 3 with the ones quite a little bit. But Braun has been a big-time addition to us. You talked about Brady and Bo, and then that would be the other guys, Kudus, Crawford, Chambly. And I tell you, a guy I like is Street as well. So we feel like we're 8 or 9 right there, and I like our 2 young kids. They're not ready right now, but I do like their how they progressed so far in the 6 practices.
In the limited time we see, Coach, is Chriswell and Malachi starting to show their ability a little bit without having to think as much? It looks like they are.
Yeah, and I think what we've seen about both of them is right now they're better gamers than, let's say, situations I'm talking about like 7-on-7. They're both fine in 7-on-7, but once you put a situation behind them, they seem to make plays, and that's both of them. And I've been really pleased with both those guys.
Thank you, man.
Greg. Yeah, Coach, with the spring break, I assume you had a good opportunity to go back and look at video and stuff from the first 5 practices. And I'm just curious, did you learn anything about your team that maybe you didn't know in those first 5 practices?
I think the thing that stuck out the most was our defensive end play. I think we have guys that we could be in a four down rush and that they can get to the quarterback. We've got a little bit more size there with adding Jeff Coat there. It really has been a big addition for the D line. And certainly John Morgan is a pass rushing guy that has made a lot of plays. I think that would be the number one thing. I think the rise of Carson Dean would be something else that stood out on as I reviewed the first five. Carson Dean, I think, will be able to play for us this year. Antonio Greer is going to be a good linebacker for us. These are just new guys that kind of stood out to me. We've talked about the secondary. We've talked about Braun, who certainly has picked up the offense and looked really well. Devin Manuel is a guy that, I think he had a good first five practices. I haven't seen, obviously, today's. And Tykees Crawford's a guy that can play either position for us. We're certainly trying to give him an opportunity to start for us, which he's doing a good job. And we knew about the backs, and I've talked about, the one guy that stood out the most in all of them is Luke Hasz, and really good football player, a guy that's catching the ball extremely well, can run, can get open, and that's probably the guy of the young guys that has stood out the most, even though I've been really happy with Braxton and Metcalf and RJ Johnson and Dallas. I mean, I've been happy with those guys, the young guys in the secondary, but I think Luke Hasz is the guy that's probably stood out the most in the freshman class.
Circling back to another freshman you mentioned with Carson Dean, his size is obvious, but what is it about him that makes you think at this point that he could possibly help you guys next year?
He's smart and he can run. I mean, he's faster than what I thought he was when he came in, and he's really picked it up. He's played with the ones some, and certainly is a guy that, like you said, has the size. That's usually what keeps, either they don't know the defense, or they're not strong enough or big enough to play early in their career, and none of those are necessarily a detriment to him, because he can do all those things. And I just feel like if he continues to improve, that I feel like he'll be in that rotation of guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Coach, going back to your offensive line, I'm curious, you're moving guys around right now. Do you have a deadline that you'd like to say, hey, here's the five we're going with? Is that something you've got set in stone yet?
No. And there's several reasons behind that. I mean, part of it is the damn portal opens up April 15th too. And you start setting deadlines on who's won and all that stuff in spring ball, and you start getting guys going in the portal, and they don't feel like they have a chance to win that position. So we don't really need to know who that is. We do need to find out. We practiced all the time, Hutch. We'd practice ones, twos, and then combos, where it would be maybe your quarterback's out, or your left tackle's out, or your center's out, and then you play with those guys to build confidence around their teammates around them. But we've kind of doing that every day. And basically, so you'll know, I've told our coaches to have somebody new in the starting lineup every single day at their position, except for KJ Jefferson.
Is that something that you've kind of like always wanted to do, or is that something new because of the portal, like where you're trying to make sure everybody's staying engaged and it feels like they have a chance?
I think it first came up in my mind when we had injuries last year, and we, at some positions, we were ready for that, and at some we weren't. And I just think that was the beginning of the thinking of that. The other thing is that we're really not going to play anybody until, September. So we have plenty of time. It's not like we're not finding out where they can play. I tell you, have you ever noticed that, and you've been to many practices where you've got a 2 and he's playing against a 2 and he's just kicking at other guys behind, and you put him with a 1 and he's not doing anything, and you're going, man, this guy ought to be starting with. Well, he'd never played against your top competition. So I think a little bit of that is helping us find out exactly who our real good players are and who are guys that are we need to continue to develop. We got to develop all of them, but in a second team role.
Scotty?
Yeah, Sam, you mentioned Antonio Greer a few minutes ago. Just what have your impressions been of him and what he's brought to your linebacker room?
He's got leadership ability. I mean, that's number one. He's played a lot of ball. He is a physical linebacker. His biggest attribute is between his ears, and he can run. And bought into the team concept. I think the kids on the team respect him and like him. But he can really run is his probably his biggest attribute.
And secondly, what is Luke Haas doing to stand out? I mean, you mentioned him a minute ago, catches the ball well. Is there anything else that he brings to the table?
Well, we have to continue to work him in his blocking. You know, he doesn't have the biggest stature. You know, he's not the biggest tight end, but he's willing and he's capable. We have to continue to work that with him. But he's a really good route runner. He's exceptional catching the football, and when he has it in his hand, he's hard to tackle. And just it seems like every day he has 6, 8, 10 catches. You know, in some type of team setting. Gets open and catches everything that's close to him. So been really, really pleased with him.
Dre.
Coach, at his size, he's a little bit lighter than the other tight ends. Do you think he could like be an inline tight end, or what kind of role do you see for him, like splitting out and H-back or what?
Well, I think the only way he's ever going to become on the line tight end is he got to practice it, but he also has to gain some weight, you know, and I think that is, we talked to him about it as well. We don't necessarily want to bring him off the field because he can't block in line. He's willing. He's very, very strong, comes from a great high school program of lifting. We just got to get a little bit of weight on him, and we'll continue to work him technique-wise. But if we were playing today, Trey, that would he'd be off the ball, kind of that type of tight end. But we're hoping that he can develop over the summer and become that every down tight end.
I assume you're going to scrimmage on Saturday. That's all closed. What kind of format you planning for that, and what are you looking to get out of it?
We're going to play the ones versus twos to start, twos versus ones, threes, 12 to 15 plays. There'll be punts involved in that if we score. On offense, there'll be field goals and involved in that as well. When we get through with that, we'll come back and go ones and ones, twos, threes. When we get done with that, we'll go into situations, which would be third down. Well, there'll be a situation of third down. There'll be a situation of red area. You know, I'm going to practice this year, Trey, for the first time. I'm going to practice third down, play fourth. I think I've become a guy that's afraid or not afraid or concerned about going for it on fourth down. And the only way I'm going to find out whether I'm willing to do that is play third down and go for it on fourth. Never have done that before, but I am going to do that. And there'll be all kinds of kicking. But it'll be a live scrimmage, and with those situations thrown in.
How many plays are you thinking?
Usually it's about 50 plays per ones, twos, and threes. So it's about 150 plays.
Thanks, Coach.
Wrap us up, Tom.
Yeah. Hey, Sam, following up on what you were just saying about the fourth down, I thought that was interesting. How does that kind of mesh with Dan Enos's thoughts? You know, has he been more aggressive in recent years on that?
Well, we've talked about it. Obviously, I haven't never met an offensive coordinator that doesn't want to go for it on fourth down. And, you know, I there's no doubt that I'm very conservative on that, and I have been. The only way I can loosen that up, and obviously we have analytics, and we've paid a lot of money to have a guy stand on the sideline and tell me it says to go for it and all this kind of stuff. But I just feel like it's just like 2 minute. You can't really get confident in how you handle your 2 minute and it's timeouts and things unless you practice it. Well, we practice it all the time. I'm looking to see. I'm really looking to see if the offense will give me enough confidence to. I'm not going to be Lane ever, at Ole Miss, and it's worked out well for him. Or the late Mike Leach, which obviously he was willing to do that. I don't think I'll ever get to that point, but I want to get to a point to where if I feel like it's the right time and things of that nature, and I'm very confident in what we're running, I want to get to the point where I can go for it on fourth down more. And the only way I know how to do it is have that type of situation.
You mentioned the energy to start with. Did it pick up during the scrimmaging part of it?
Yeah, it did.
What do you think of that?
It was just early in practice that everything that happens out there is either good and our coaches have done a nice job, or it's bad and I haven't got us motivated enough. And obviously my team meeting wasn't motivational enough because I thought we were sluggish. But again, they hadn't practiced for 12 days as well either. But it did pick up, and I thought it was very spirited after the inside run period, which was, I think, period 6. So the rest of practice I thought went pretty well.
It was encouraging to see Broden after the way he had that collision in the end zone and the indoor. A little concerned about him, but what's his status? When might he be back?
I'm hoping Thursday. It might be Saturday, but there was a couple guys over there. Spence was one of them as well, and I want those guys ready for Saturday. Now, if they're ready Thursday, I want them practicing Thursday as well. But I want to see these guys in live action, and so they couldn't practice today, so they didn't practice. But we'll be a little more conservative Thursday with them, as in if I feel like they're about ready, we'll do Indy, maybe some 7-on-7, some things of that nature, and then get them ready for the scrimmage. But no major injury there. It's just he's not quite healed up from just a slight knee sprain.
Gotcha. And on Ladarius, is he back or close to being back all the way?
My belief is you put them out there in Indy, and then you see how they feel, how they go, and I don't think he's, we just got to continue to kind of work him in a little bit more. I think each day, to be honest with you, Tom, he'll do a little bit more, and hopefully, I don't know that we would scrimmage him Saturday yet, but I could see him full tilt, ready to roll by the spring scrimmage.
Okay, thanks, man.
Game scrimmage, excuse me.
BetOnline remains your number one source for all your college basketball betting this season. Get analysis of every play, prop, and point at BetOnline. You'll find the latest odds, bracket contests, team matchups, and game trends at BetOnline. Updated odds for everything from live games right through the Final Four and the championship game. BetOnline is where your college basketball headquarters are this season. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to sign up and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV. BetOnline.ag, where the game starts.